4. 2.5. 2 3/4. Okay, we're live.
All right, hallelujah. Go ahead and get started. Right. So on this one here, understanding the whole book, part 22, the book of Revelations. Most of it's going to be about the four horsemen. And then as we progress with it, we're going to see what these four horsemen are all about. Um, if you guys have any questions, let me know, which brings me to the rules. Please keep your mic muted except when asking or answering a question. Use the mic to speak. There's a feature in the room where you can raise your hand if you have a question. All questions must be on the topic. You have 60 seconds to ask or answer a question. If you pass your 60-second window, your mic will be muted for you. These rules are due to time and the recordings of the lesson. These are live teachings. We must give the Moreh enough time to complete the lesson. All right. So everyone's familiar with these four horsemen, or have read about these four horsemen. Question might be is, have you ever considered that these colors represent something as well? So as it stands in the King James, you have a white horse, you have a red horse, you have a black horse, and you have a pale horse, which we'll go over that in just a minute. And each rider has something to do with the end time prophecy. But not only that, their colors also may signify something. Okay, we'll do it that way. All right, so we'll start with the red horse, Susadam. So it says, I saw in the night, and behold, a man riding on a red horse. He was standing among the myrtle trees in the glen, and behind him were red sorrel, which is the word there, sorek, which we'll talk about in a minute, and white horses, plural. Okay, it's in verse 9 says, Then I said, What are these, Adonai, or my master, my sovereign? He says, The Melech, or the messenger, who talked with me, said to me, I will show you what they are. So the man who was standing among the myrtle trees answered, These are they whom Yahuah has sent to, listen to what they're supposed to do, Lehit Halech, right? They are to, it says patrol or to go or to walk the earth. Okay. Now, the reason why we're starting here in Zechariah is because these same horses are repeated in the book of Revelations. So the first mention of these four horses you find over in this side of the book, and then you start to see, well, wow, this might be tied to Revelations, which we'll talk about later on. All right, so Job 1:7 says, And Yahuah said unto Hashatan, Whence come you? Then Hashatan answered Yahuah and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. Now, if you look at this, which we'll read a little bit more in Zechariah chapter 6, notice that these horses are patrolling all the earth. They're going throughout the earth, and notice someone else is going throughout the earth. Hashatan is actually, or the adversary, he's also doing the same thing, going to and fro into the earth. Remember, we talked about that some time ago, that he's trying to accuse, he's trying to get you on his side, he's trying to give false reports against you. So now you see that the Father also has riders that are going out, or writers such as the Malachim. They're also going out making recordings. You also got these four horsemen that's also going to be doing some things as we go ahead and progress in this lesson here. Okay, so a lot of stuff is going on in this spiritual realm, if you will, that we just don't see. All right, let's keep going. So take note that these riders are patrolling or going throughout the earth on behalf of Yahuah. We also see Hashatan doing the same. His intentions are not the same as the other riders. We shall see these riders that are not human as well. These are not human riders. All right. The Septuagint in Zechariah 1:8 says, And I saw by night, and behold, a man mounted on a red horse, and he stood between the shady mountains, and behind him were red horses, and gray, and piebald, or spotted, or multicolored, and white. Okay, Targums has the same verse. I saw at night, and behold, a man riding on a red horse, and was standing among the myrtle trees that were in Babylon. And after him red, white spotted, which is the black and the white, which you get your gray, and white horses, plural. All right, so what we're going to compare today is the main horses of Revelation: red, black, green, and white. The where I got green in question is because most of the time you view this as the pale horse. So we're going to see why we're saying green horse, but mostly you'll see why it's the pale horse. All right, so is it pale or is it green? So I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. Now keep that in mind, because we're going to come back to that. But look at the word there um, for the pale horse. It's the Greek word chloros, right? Which is the word for green, or like chlorophyll. We get our English word chlorophyll from. Okay, chloros. Okay. Now we keep going. This one here's in Zechariah chapter 6, verse 1, second mention of these horses. He says, and I turned, and I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, there came four chariots out from between the two mountains, and the mountains were mountains of brass. Now, I wonder if the statue had brass. Did it represent a couple of nations? Just keep that in mind. Verse 2. In the first chariot were red horses, and in the second chariot, black horses, the third, white horses, the fourth chariot dappled. The word there is barod, which means spotted or marked horses, all of them strong. Okay, so I just put in my notes really fast here. This is more of a pattern on the horse and not necessarily a color. So the horse can be green, but it can be like a spotted type green, mixture of a pattern if you're on the horse itself. All right, now listen to verse uh, 4 and 5. It says, then I answered and said unto the Malach, or the messenger, commonly called the angel that talked with me. He says, Ma'ele Adonai, Ma'ele Adonai. Now, Ma means what? Ele is going to be a word for everybody in the Hebrew class, which means these. So he's saying, what are these, Adonai, my master? And Malak answered, or the messenger answered and said unto me, these are the four spirits of the heavens which go forth from standing before Yahuah of all the earth. Okay, so keep that in mind. All this is let you know about these horses, and we're going to read it into Revelations, but understand these are not human beings, right? Any questions so far? Everyone's good? Copacetter? All right. Revelation 6:4. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. Now, the Greek word here for red is different from most Greek words. When you look up this word in the actual Greek, this word paras literally means a fiery red. Okay, same color that is given for the dragon earlier, the red dragon in Revelations. In the Tanakh, it is also used for the word for Edom or Esau. Okay, so remember this red horse is to take away peace. This is the opposite of the white horse, which we'll talk about a little bit more. So I really thought about putting a lesson together to show the possibility of the red horse uh, timing being linked to Edom or Esau. But I know that would bore everybody, so I said maybe they'll just do their own study on it, and we'll just keep going like we're about to do right now. All right, verse 5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on had a pair of balances in his hand. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts saying, "A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see, hurt not the oil and the wine." Okay, now mind you, each writer that we're going over, we're going to go back over these writers again, just in a little bit more detail. So, who is this rider that's the white horse? Who is this rider? So, then I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth, conquering and to conquer. So, I put that in yellow only because every other place in, well, every place in the translation, I said the King James, has to overcome or overcoming all 27 times, not conquering and to conquer. All right, but anyway, so keep this in mind, this white horse. And then in Revelation 19:11, it says, "And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on it was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he does judge and make war." So here's my question: Revelation 6:2, Revelations 19:11. Are these the same writer? Yes or no? If they are, no problem. If they're not, why? I'll give 10 seconds. I'm hoping someone might have done a little bit of research. If not, we'll keep.
Okay, Moreh is the first one. I'm looking at the word say bow crowns. Uh, then that's only when we look at the second one. When I did my research, it had crowns.
Okay.
They look like it make them two different distinction in the white horse.
Okay. So is it your understanding that Revelation 6 is a different writer from Revelations 19? Okay.
I think she's saying yes.
Are you asking me is it a difference?
Right,
If
right.
it,
I'm saying, do you believe that the writer on 6 is different from the writer on 19?
yes, I do.
Okay. Anyone else?
Someone on YouTube said one is the tribulation and the other is the Messiah.
Okay. All right. So we'll keep going. Could the writer have the appearance of Mashiach but deceives the world? Okay, that's the question. Now, I do agree with the person on YouTube for sure, but I'm just giving because I'm giving you some questions that some people use and say that this is what this is. So I'm just using the same ones and then we'll go into the reading of it. All right. Ezekiel 13:10. Precisely because they have misled, and I'm talking about what I'm focusing on here is going to be first the white part. Precisely because they have misled my people, saying peace when there is no peace, and because when the people build a wall, these prophets smear it with whitewash. Woe to the scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you make like whitewashed tombs, which outwardly appears beautiful, but within are full of dead people's bones and all uncleanness. Now, just so we're clear that these writers are going to be stirring up what's already there. Now, I want you to think about, for an example, when Pharaoh's heart was hardened. When Pharaoh's heart was hardened, it wasn't like the Yahuah was basically controlling him. He allowed whatever was in his heart to manifest out. It's going to be no different than these writers are going to be doing when they go to the four corners. But we're going to see that there's going to be some relief for his people, but outside of that relief, these writers are going to present on or go on throughout the world as he stirs this thing up for the end time prophecy. All right. So comparing the riders of the white horse, rider in 6:2 of Revelation has a bow and a crown. And of course, the rider in 19, as Emo was talking about, it says, "And I saw the heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he said upon it was called Faithful and Truth, righteousness has he to judge and make war." Verse 12, his eyes were as flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns, And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. So this rider has many crowns versus first rider in chapter 6 has one crown and a bow. Okay, now, how about the bow? What does a bow represent? Psalms 78:57, he turned away and acted treacherously like their fathers that twisted like a deceitful bow. Hosea 7:16, they return, but not upward. They are like a treacherous bow. Their princes shall fall by the sword because of their insolence of their tongue. This shall be their desertion in the land of Mitzrayim or of Egypt. So in Revelation, the white horse is conquering or overcoming people with a false peace, which we see. And then after that rider, the red horse takes away the peace. Okay, so you have one that's come in like a lamb with a dragon type mouth. And then you'll see as we progress in these riders, there's a progression in what's happening on the earth, which we'll see. All right. And I looked, and behold, a green horse, and his name that sat on him was Death. And death and hell followed with him. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth to kill with sword and with hunger and with death and with the beasts of the earth. Okay, so this rider, the green or the commonly called the pale horse in the King James, this is death. This is hell that falls with him. All right, so now if you think about this here, and he's also linked with the beasts or under the beasts of the earth. Question: who have these four colors on their flag? These four colors. Have you ever seen a flag that have these four colors?
Is it Iran?
You said Iran. Okay.
It's the Islamic flag.
Okay. So let's look at those. You see all of these here. Keep this in mind. And then take note where their locations is or are. They are where the beast comes out of in the book of Daniel or Daniel and the 10 horns. One more interesting thing, could a fourth part of the earth be Islamic? Something to think about. We'll talk about that another time, but just keep this in mind for right now. All right, so the four horses, the meaning behind each horse. We know that these are non-human horsemen. The rider of the white horse will be a conqueror or overcomer. Now that word overcome, which when I was sharing with you that it's in the Greek, this more of a overcoming in all the other places, something being overcome mentally in your mind. Like, in other words, like this white horse rider is trying to deceive your mind, overcome you, overtake you, or give some type of deception going on. So there's going to be false peace, or you're going to believe in this particular what's happening at this time when this white rider is making this conquering, overcoming happen on the earth. Then the red rider takes the peace away. Blood will be shed. The black horse deals with famine, economic problems in the world. Then the green horse deals with death, plant life, and human life. The world will be dying. Okay, this is going to happen here. All right. So how will the horsemen come out? Does anyone know how what makes these horsemen come out? Does anyone know?
I believe it has something to do with the Euphrates River when the four horsemen are let loose.
Okay, anyone else? All right, no problem.
With broken seals, I thought.
Right, seals. Okay, each horseman or horse will come out with
Seal.
their,
Oh my gosh, how could I
their
not know this?
seal is open. 7 seals are in total, but 4 of them are for the horsemen, if you will. Okay, there are 7 seals total. Okay, now Revelation 6:1, and I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were the noise of thunder, one of the 4 beasts saying, "Come and see." Question: are the 4 horsemen Elohim's wrath?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, that's what I'm talking about. Anyone else?
Okay.
Man, that's what I'm talking about. No. All right.
I knew you was too happy.
Man, that's beautiful. I love it when a family come together. All right, so now Revelation 6:12, and I beheld when he had opened the 6th seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Now, you remember that the first 4, he's allowing these horsemen to come up by seal, and he's going through all the earth. Now, there's a difference between that being Yah's wrath versus Yah allowing them to go out and do certain things, or having permission, which we'll read in just a minute. All right. So remember this passage that we already read, Revelation 6:2, right? I saw and behold the white horse with it sat on it, had a bow and a crown which was given unto him, and it was forth conquering, or technically, to overcome. All right. So now Revelations 13:12. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wounds was healed. And he does great wonders, so that he makes fire come down from heaven, or Shemayim, on the earth in the sight of men. Now, this is matching with Matthew's, and Yahushua Mashiach answered them, see that no one leads you astray. For many will come in my name, saying, I am HaMashiach, or the Messiah, or the Mashiach, and they will lead many astray. And then verse 24 says, for false Mashiachs and false prophets will arise and perform great signs and wonders, so as to lead astray, if possible, even the elect. All right. So you remember that rider that he's allowing it, the white horse is allowing, that it has to produce at some point an anti-Mashiach. He's going to come and going to do some things, and some people, if they're not careful, that they might fall prey to a lot of the things and wonders that's going to take place at this time. All right, the red horse. Listen carefully. It says, and out came another horse, bright red, fiery red. Its rider was permitted to take peace from the earth, so that people could slay one another. And he was given a great sword. So mind you, again, he's permitted. This is not Yah's wrath yet. His is going to come out a different seal, but this one here is permitted. Job 1:11 and 12 says, but stretch out your hand and touch all that he has. It's talking about Ayob or Job. And he will curse you to your face. And Yahuah said to Hashatan, behold, all that he has is in your hand. He's given him permission. He's allowing. Only against him do not stretch out your hand. So Hashatan went out from the presence of Yahuah. Same thing is happening with these riders. You're going to see that there's a mirror image going on between the riders, what Hashatan does when he goes to and fro, but we'll keep going. Just as Yahuah allowed or gave permission to Hashatan to harm Ayob, so also will he do in the latter days. He was not sent by Yahuah, just like the rider of the red horse. He takes the peace from the earth. Bloodshed will be the result from this peace being taken. The Greek word for slay here also is the same for sacrificing. If you look it up, it's the same word. Okay, So he's going to give permission for all this stuff to take place. Okay, because a lot of people is falling away. For an example, from the most, okay, you want to do things your way, no problem. I'm going to test everybody's heart, send the riders out, and they're going to test everybody. And you're going to see how this is going to work. All right, black horse. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had pair of balances in his hand. Now, verse 6. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts saying, "A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. See, you hurt not the oil and the wine." So during this phase, the food on this earth will be measured with unjust scales. Now, I'm not sure if that's happening now or anything like that. But anyway, this will be used to create the famine. Matthews 24:7 also is linked. For it says nation, but in the Greek there's ethnos. So technically, it's basically saying for ethnos shall rise against ethnos. Or, and everyone know what ethnos is, right? Everyone's familiar with ethnos?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So it's not saying technically like nation, it's like your kind against your kind. So ethnos basically is the Greek way of simply stating like brother and brother. You against this brother, this person. Everyone's going to be tested in this time period, and then a kingdom against kingdom, if you will, or kings against kings, or this will be technically like nations against nations. But ethnos is your ethnicity, if you will. Okay, and it says kingdom against kingdom. It said, and there shall be famine and pestilence, i.e., plagues and illnesses. Now, I don't know if that's happening now, right? And earthquakes in diverse places. Okay, so this way out, I put the way out of this is for those of little or no faith, is to take the mark of the beast, which we'll talk about in just a minute. So if one rider, hey, second rider, we're at the third rider. Now let's look at this fourth rider. And I looked, and behold, a pale, if you will, or a green horse, and his name that sat on it was Death, and hell followed him, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth to kill with sword, with hunger, and with death, and with, or hupo, which means under or authority, the beasts of the earth. This rider gives authority to kill or murder. It will cause hunger, and is under the beasts of the earth. Mind you, this particular one is he's given authority to kill, to murder, literally to murder. I don't know if that's happening today. We'll just keep going. This killing is a fourth part of the earth. Every place in the book of Revelation for the word beast is speaking of a king or kingdom, a spirit, a false Mashiach, or its system. Okay, in the book of Revelation. Let's look up every place for the word beast there. Verse 15, and it was allowed to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast might even speak and might cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be slain. Okay, so this desire for this image is to be worshipped. We'll see how that's going to work in the future. Now, summary of them. So the white horse is to show signs, wonders, and false peace on the earth. Red horse is for those that were not captivated by the first rider, that this one will take the peace away and cause fear and death. So if the first rider didn't get you, the second one, if he's going to take away the peace, fear is coming, death is coming, bloodshed. So you might then succumb to that one. But let's just say you're a little bit stronger than that. Here comes the third rider, the black rider, and those that were convinced, but were not convinced to be by the two riders, that this rider will bring hunger, economic depression, food shortages, and pestilence. Okay, so it's going to make it even harder now dealing with food, economics, things like that. Pestilence is coming, illnesses. Okay, so if those three don't do it for you, the fourth rider or the green horse will cause death. If you do not have the seal of Yahuah, you will be subjected to the death horse. So all these stages will have a kingdom, government, and a mark. Any questions so far?
This is this in succession, or is this like one at a time? Like one stops, then another one starts and stops and starts, or is it going to be once one
Right.
starts, it just kind of builds?
Right. So this looks like birth pains, one after the other, not like all simultaneously, one after the other. So if, as this is happening, doesn't mean, like, for example, once the white horse does his thing, when the red horse comes, the white horse stops. No, white horse is still going, red horse is going. That's not enough. White horse is going, red horse is going, and black horse is going. Not enough. Nope. White horse, red horse, black horse, and green horse.
Okay.
Question.
Wambui has a question.
Okay.
Shalom, Moreh. Thank you for the lesson. I was just wondering what the seal of Yahuah is.
Slicha,
Can you hear me?
what were we saying?
About the seal of Yahuah?
Okay, what about it?
If you'd expound on that a little, please.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to it. It's in this lesson.
Moreh.
All right.
We have another question. Naamana.
Okay.
Moreh, would you say that the horses of the apocalypse have been unleashed already? And if so, what color?
Well, I personally could say I believe it is. If not, there is this cycle that's happening in this earth. So I would say, for an example, right now, if I believe that all of these are happening, there's false peace here, for sure. There's bloodshed being happening, for sure. There's pestilence and food shortages going on, for sure. And now they're trying to implement more death. So I could say, sure, I believe so. But that could either be the birth pains, it could be, or this could be a cycle that is happening to prepare us for the real thing that actually happened.
Yes, Moreh, that was the other question. When you say birth pains, would you say that these are, well, women, we have different words, gathering pains, or these are gathering pains in reference to the birth pains?
Okay, no. So birth pains are really just like Jacob's trouble, not gathering troubles.
Okay.
So this is more or less things that are happening that's out of our control, that we're inside of a society, like Mitzrayim or Egypt. When Israel was in Egypt, there's nothing they could do, and so, but they were going through it. That the government was getting them, but within that, they were also either faith was building or faith was not. Same principle that's happened in the first Exodus is going to happen in the next Exodus. But yeah.
Okay, Lance had a question too.
Sure.
Okay. You said these horses were linked with the seals. Would that be the first 4 seals, or somewhere in between 1 and 6?
Right, the first
Because you
4.
said the 6th one was the one that Mashiach would come.
Right. The first 4 seals is dealing with the horsemen.
Okay. Ta-da.
All right. So the seals or marks. Okay, the seals or marks. So in the last days, everyone will have a mark or seal. Everyone. Okay, so the seal mark of Yahuah by his spirit, or the seal and mark of Hashatan, or the dragon or the beast, by his spirit and government. Everybody's going to be on some side, right? Just keep that in mind. So outside of Revelation, there's some other places that talks about seals. So I gave one here in Ezekiel. It says, and the kabod, or the steam of the Elohim of Yisrael, or Yisrael, or Israel, was gone up from the charub, or commonly called the cherub, whereupon he was, to the threshold of the house. And he called to the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side. And Yahuwah said unto him, go throughout the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem and Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And to the others, he said in my hearing, go you after him through the city and smite. Let not your eye spare, neither have you pity. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark. And begin at my sanctuary. Then they began at the old men which were before the house. Okay, so I just put here First Peter or Kepha Aleph 4:17, where it says, "For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of Eloah or Elohim, and if it for begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the basar or the good news of Eloah?" Okay, so there's this understanding of this seal or this mark. We're going to go a little bit more again, but just understand this is not something new that Revelations talks about. It's the understanding of how this works. So Revelation 7:2 says, and I saw another Malak ascending from the east, having the seal of the living Eloah, and he cried with a loud voice to the four Melachim, to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea. So think about it now. You have these four Melachim to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, right? Now, is there a link between these same four Melachim and these same four horsemen that's going to go out and hurt the earth? Okay, keep that in mind. Verse 3 saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our Eloah in their foreheads. Now, the reason I want to bring this up because sometimes we get scared. What's going to happen? You know, he's going to allow this to happen to me. He already has a plan. When he sets this thing out, he's not out here to say, I'm going to hurt my people and the world the same way. No, those that are wicked are going to have a different thing, and those that are his, he's going to help. Okay. Verse 4 says, and I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. His house. He's starting there. His people. Seal them. Now the question becomes, well, who's doing the sealing? Ephesians 4:30, and grieve not the Chodesh Ruach of Eloah, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. So you're sealed all the way through to the day of redemption. 2 Corinthians 1:21. Now he which establishes us with you in Mashiach and has anointed us is Eloah, who has also sealed us and given the earnest of the Ruach in our heart. Now listen to this very carefully, because I don't know how Christendom, traditional Christendom, missed this part, maybe because it's considered Old Testament. Yeshayahu, Isaiah 8:16, bind up the testimony or the witness. Listen, seal the law among my Talmudims or among my disciples. So think about it. Within the law is the seal. So again, it's very important that we keep his laws, we keep his commandments, the very thing that speaks of the Mashiach, the very thing that speaks of who he is and his rules and everything, so that we can be sealed for when that time comes, we can be made ourselves ready. Before I go forward, any questions so far? Low? Okay. We'll keep going. The properties of a seal. So it comes with three parts: the name, the title, the territory. All right. So now within that, these are the signs. So I put the sign is given to those that want to be sealed. So we're going to read that in a minute. But again, there's a sign. The next is the agent doing the sealing is the Kodesh Ruach, which we just read. So now I give an example here in Shemot or Exodus 20:11 that we already read. So it says, for in 6 days Yahuwah made heaven and the earth and the sea and all that is in them, and is rested on the seventh day. Wherefore Yahuwah blessed Hayom Shabbat and set apart it. Number one, the name Yahuwah. Number two, the creator. He's the one that made it. That's the title. He's our creator. He's our father. Number three, territory. Heaven, the earth, and the sea. And the seal is going to be based off of the Shabbat. Very interesting. So now, ot means sign, means mark, token, ensign, standard. Okay, Yahuwah has a standard. And if we apply the standard, we can be marked. We can have a sign, miraculous sign, proof, and warning. All right. How about seal? Word for seal, chotam, seal signet, to seal shut, to close, to seal keepers, a deed of sale, a signed and sealed deed. Someone is going to be bought with a price. Someone is sealed. Keep this in mind. Okay, now Daniel 7:24 and 25 says this. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High. Okay, so keep in mind, this is what they're trying to do. Well, how are they going to wear them out? Think to change times and laws, and they shall be given to his hand until a time and times and a dividing of times. Remember, we went over this already. So now think about what's happening here. When these horns and these kingdoms and nations are coming up, they're trying to change things. They're trying to wear the saints out. They're trying to change their times and laws and all this stuff. And as he's doing this, we notice that there's a time stamp on this thing. Remember, we went over 3.5 years, 42 months, 1,260 days in the previous series that we're on right now in the previous lessons. So just keep that in mind. So this system wants to change the time and the laws of Yahuwah set for his people. His system will almost mirror, meaning the beast or the kingdom, will almost mirror with slight alterations, such as 10 words. You notice, like, for example, the Catholic Church changes the 10 words. There's be Shabbat days change or feast days. These are his sign on his people, meaning that every system has a sign of his people. Sometimes we're thinking that we're just going to have we're going to wait for the Malak to come down. He's going to have this golden seal. He's going to press it literally on our forehead. And we're going to have that. And then you're going to see your neighbor next to you that's not in the walk, and they're going to press a 666 on his forehead. And you're going to see these seals on their forehead. That's not what this is talking about. All right.
Got a question on the table. William.
Oh, very low. Yeah, come out that cave, Aki. No. You might have to put your mouth maybe on the mic.
I'm good.
Oh, okay.
Here we go.
All right, how about that? Is that better?
Oh, yes, real good.
Shlika, so what would you say to those who, I guess the question comes up, do we keep the law for salvation? Like you just brought up how when you were talking about the death horse, and we know what Revelation says about those who have the testimony of Yahushua Mashiach and also keep the commandments. So with that being said, technically, do we keep the law for salvation? If people were to ask that, how would you answer that?
I would say, now, if the audience is, let's just say you're saying the audience are, let's say Christians?
Yeah, like Christian.
Okay. So then I would share them in one of different places. I would say, well, let's look at you know, I think it's Luke 8, 11, and 12. I would tell them, now the parable is this, the seed is the word of Elohim. So we know that what the word is. But then it says, those by the wayside are they that hear, then comes the devil and takes away the word out of their hearts, lest they should believe and be saved. So it is a part of the salvation.
So
That's a good example.
So they have to see that there's parts, just like, that's one part of it. The next part of it, obviously, we know is the Mashiach. Then there's another part in John where he tells you you need to be immersed, come called baptized to be saved. There's parts to salvation, not just one encompasses it all. Okay. Any other questions? All right, we'll keep going. So Shemota, or Exodus 20, verse 8. Remember the Shabbat day to keep it Chodesh, set apart. Matthew 24, 20. But pray you that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Shabbat day. Why is Mashiach talking about something in the future about Shabbat? Why is it we have to make this day a set apart day? Is this the sign? Is this what we need to understand, that his sign is on this one? Let's see. Okay, so where and what is the sign? Isaiah 59, 6. And their web shall not become garments, neither shall they cover themselves with their works. Their works are works of iniquity, and acts of violence is in their hand. Remember, hand, your works of the hand. Remember the mark for the enemy, or for the mark of the beast, is going to be on your forehead and on your hand. This one here is negative. This is their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed innocent blood. Their thoughts, where's that at? In your mind, your forehead, your head, are thoughts of iniquity, wasting and destruction are in their path. Now, 13:9 says this, and it shall be for a sign unto you upon your hand, and for a memorial between your eyes, that Yahuwah's law may be in your mouth. For with a strong hand has Yahuwah brought you out of Mitzrayim. Notice again, the hand was between your eyes, or your forehead. Devarim 6:8, we already know in the Shema, it says, and shall bind them upon your sign, upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. Ezekiel 20, verse 12 and 20. It says, moreover, I also gave them Shabbats. For what reason? To be a sign between me and them, that they might know that I am Yahuwah that purifies them. Verse 20, and Kodesh my Shabbats, plural, and they shall be a sign between me and you, that you may know that I am Yahuwah your Elohim. Notice the sign. Let's look at Shemota, Exodus 31 says, speak you also unto the children of Israel, or Yashar, Israel, saying, verily, my Shabbats you shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I am Yahuwah that does purify you. It keeps going. You now understand the sign. But this doesn't stop there. Revelations says, and beheld, now this is the mark of the beast, and I'm going to go back to one other place. So think about the mark of the beast. And he says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and had two horns like a lamb. And he spoke as a dragon. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wounds was healed. And he does great wonders, so that he makes fire come down from Shamayim, from heaven on the earth, in sight of all men. and deceives them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. Now you notice a lot of stuff we read today is dealing with a group of people that lives by the sword. Verse 15, and he had power to give life into the image of the beast. But the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free bond to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Now, what things needs to be in place in order to know you are operating in the beast system? Right, so we read it. I'm just going to itemize it here. This beast will come out of the earth having two horns, kingdoms. Number two, he will be like a lamb, but speak as a dragon. Okay, something similar to what maybe the writer might be allowing. He will exercise the power of the first beast before him. He will cause the earth to worship the first beast. This beast that it is referring to has been healed. Okay, he does wonders. He deceives by miracles the power of the beast. He will create an image and give it life so that it can be worshiped. If you don't, you will be killed. Number 9, he will have a mark, right hand and forehead. It's either one. But think about it. Buy or sell must have the mark or the name or the number of the beast. So you got to have one of these three things in order to buy or sell. Now, do we know exactly what that is? We all have a bunch of theories. Oh, we got the chip. Oh, we got this, we have that. But there has to come a time when this part here starts, and then you will know this is the actual beast system. All right. So keep all that in mind. I'm saying, so we're sharing that they're going to try to change the times and the seasons. But remember I said about the Shabbat. The Shabbat, we're showing that these are signs that we read in the Tanakh. Question is, can we find that in the Brit Chadashah as well? Look at Hebrews chapter 4. He says, therefore, while the promise of entering his rest still stands. So now we're in the Brit Chadashah. It still stands. So that's what I say again. I don't understand this, not wanting to do Shabbat. Let us fear lest any of you should seem to have failed to reach it. Verse 4. For he spoke in a certain place on the seventh day, the Shabbat, on this wise, and Eloah did rest the seventh day from all his work. It stems all the way back to creation, because creation is letting us know, remember as it says in Isaiah 46:10, the end is from the beginning. The beginning is going to tell us the end. The end we can understand from the beginning. So therefore, if it's the seventh day he rests, something's going to happen on that seventh day. Okay, I wonder who's going to be doing the resting and who will not be resting. At any rate, verse 5. And in the place again, if they shall enter into my rest, seeing that it remains that some must enter therein, and they too, whom it was first preached, entered not in because of unbelief. So they didn't get it because of the unbelief. For if now Yahushua, meaning the Mashiach now, had given them rest, then would he not afterwards have spoken of another day? So even, it's still, even after Mashiach time, we still got a rest. There remains, therefore, a rest to the people of Eloah. So even after death and resurrection of the Mashiach, you notice Shaul, you notice the apostles, they're still keeping Shabbat. It still remains. Not only that, if you read in Acts chapter 15 and other places, notice that the Gentiles, chapter 15 and chapter 17 of Acts, notice that even the Gentiles are still coming and doing on Shabbat day. They want to hear the law. It still remains. All right. 10 says, and he that is entered into his rest, he also has ceased from his own works, as the Lord did from his. Let us labor, therefore, to enter into the rest, lest any man falls after the same example of unbelief. Very key, 12. For the word of the Lord is quick. So it's not about what pastors say or any Moreh say. It's the Father's word. That's what we have to set our standards on. So for the word of the Lord is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even to the dividing asunder of soul and spirit, and of the joints and marrow, and is the discerner of the thoughts and intent of the heart. Okay, so you use the Father's word, you can't go wrong. Any questions?
Well, here's a question I think is going to arise when it relates to the Shabbat. How important is it to know, or I should say, try to operate in what we think is the true Shabbat? So how important should we focus on finding out when it is the true Shabbat, like what we do on Tuesdays, and following it on Tuesdays instead of just saying that Saturday is a Shabbat?
Okay, like same answer I normally give. It's going to be that, you know, just as it was in the captivity, they were under the Egyptian captivity. I don't know if anyone's familiar with the Egyptian calendar or not, but it's not the same as the Hebrew calendar. However, the Father preserved them because of their heart. He said, wherever I scattered you, I'll be a mikdash, or a temple to them. So those that have the I guess I'll say love to keep the Father's Shabbat and his feast days, that's what he's looking for. It's about the inside, the inner part first. So if I'm in a captivity and I say, hey, well, you know, the Gregorian Saturday or Gregorian Shabbat basically is the Shabbat. Now, would I say that's the same Shabbat that Moses? I would say no, they didn't. Pope Gregory didn't exist at his time. And there was a lot of changing of calendars between that time and to this other time. However, we are in a cycle or a Gregorian calendar that has cycles of 7 that we all have been adapted to, accustomed to. It's not so much like, for example, some older calendars where they utilizes just the sun, moon, and stars, and sundials and things like that, where their starting year and the ending year does not align itself with a Gregorian calendar. Meaning, even though it's in cycles of 7, notice that it would have to, the numbers would change obviously, because 7 divided by 365 will never work. So, number wise, it's not going to make sense. And I say, well, that doesn't matter because there's 7 days. Well, it still would have to matter because remember, his feast days are also set up in fixed numbers. So if it's the 14th is this, the 15th is that, those numbers also have to align itself with the calendar. For those that are saying, hey, I'm doing it the way that I believe the Dead Sea Scrolls or Enoch or other, that are using, or just sun, moon, and stars, the way I'm seeing it this way, it works every time, and I'm aligning myself to these things, then, that's where they are. I can't tell someone that they're wrong because they're saying this is it on Saturday, and this person's wrong here because they'll say, well, in the calendar that's happening on a Gregorian Tuesday, which is a Hebrew Shabbat for you guys, it rotates. It goes to another day the following year. It may go to Wednesday or Thursday, and then if the Gregorian calendar has a leap year, it jumps by 2 days. And this, as you see, it's not consistent. Well, then you got to share with no, the Gregorian calendar is not consistent. It's the one that's jumping. The Hebrew calendar, if you will, is the one that's staying on a specific cycle, but the calendar that's on, let's say, a Gregorian calendar, that's what's jumping, or seems like it's jumping because it's not aligned itself to that particular one. But long story short, I just simply share with everybody that the calendar that they're understanding as, even it's just a Gregorian Shabbat, until you have a full understanding of how any of this stuff works, the captivity calendar that we're in, this is the one you're using. For those that are saying, well, hey, I've done some research, and in this here, I'm starting to align myself because now it shows me every time I do this, the barley, the wheat, the grains, the fruit, all their harvests are happening at this time, the way it's supposed to, according to the time in Israel. okay, and then we share that. But some people, kind of have an issue with those things. So I just simply just tell people, until you have full understanding, until the Father deals with you in your heart and your mind, you stay where you are.
Mm-hmm. Hallelujah. Okay, Malakim has a question, and then Love Yah has a question.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Malakim.
What's going on? I would have to go back to the chat to bring up the notes. Can you still hear me?
Yeah. Just let us know when you're ready.
All right.
All right.
Kind of new to this right here.
Type it in the chat.
Love Yah.
So somebody can read.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to bring. Oh, okay. Here we go. Right here. So my questions are the horsemen, the horse/men are representing the house that's divided against each other. As far as the scripture, Matthew chapter 12, verse 25 and 26, it says, and Yeshua knew their thoughts, and he said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. If Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? That's my first question.
Okay,
And
what was the first question?
All right, so the four horsemen.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering, are they representing a house that's divided against each other?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. All right. So my other question is, the mark of the beast. Is it a sign or a token, or is it actions being performed or carried out from individuals?
Okay, so the mark of the beast is going to be it's going to have quite a few things. That's why those three things that we're sharing is going to have a name, it's going to have a number, it's going to have a system. It's not just like one individual part to it. It's made up of three parts, just like the mark of the beast or a seal. If we look at, for an example, I'll just use, let's say, the U.S. So the seal for the U.S. Notice you have Donald Trump name, title, president. Territory, United States. Now he can implement all kinds of seals and stamps and everything, and they will follow it because he's in control or he's in charge. It's a system that's set up that way. I'm saying that's how it's going to be even in the last days.
Okay. What you at, Keith?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Love Yah's question is, who is the beast that speaks like a lamb?
Well, we won't know until that beast comes out. Remember, when he comes out, everybody would know. Now, this is going to come, it's going to have, now, one can say, hey, I believe that's the anti-Mashiach, for an example. He's going to be something like the Mashiach. He's going to be trying to give peace and do wonders and all these things. And then next thing you know, everyone's going to believe him and all the things that he does. But to say, let's just say it's, a specific name, no one knows the name of that particular one as of yet.
All right, Sharad.
I have a question about the names of the riders. You said when you was reading that the red horse, the red horse, the white horse, and the green horse are saying just like that, the horse, but the black one is a rider. Why is that?
Well, because all of them have riders. It's just what the rider's doing. One is being more descriptive of what it's doing versus one is just riding. So some things it's just going to happen, is he's going to cause to happen. Other things he's going to be instrumental in allowing it to happen.
All right. So now we have William and then Nanamana.
Okay.
Slick Moreh. So when it comes to the mark of the beast, it is something that has to be willingly taken. Is that correct? Not something that's forced upon somebody or accidentally taken. They have to willingly submit to that mark. Is that correct?
Right. So some people may say, hey, is the mark of the beast right now? Notice what it says on there, that once the system is set up, you have no choice. Those will have no choice but to do this to get certain things. Right now, we have choices to do a lot of stuff, so to speak. But there's going to come a time where that's going to be like I give this example a lot. Basically, is think about when this this pandemic came out, and notice that as things were getting worse, what was a lot of the people looking forward to? Oh my gosh, oh, the government, oh, we need your help. We need the stimulus check. We need this. Everybody was looking forward to it just about. And so this is the test run. So then they could say, okay, well, in order for you to get this, hypothetically, the stimulus check or this or that, you got to go through these particular things. You got to take this seal, or you got to take this thing or that thing, or whatever that thing is going to be. Then you'll know that's what it is.
All
right, Nadamano.
Shalom, Moreh. It's written in Daniel that this anti-Mashiach is going to have a fierce countenance. Now, I'm trying to understand, is that a fierce looking face, a fierce how he behaves, his character? Could you shine some light on that?
Sure. You want to read it?
No, I don't want to read it.
Okay, what scripture are you referring to?
Fierce, that he's going to have a fierce countenance. That I'm having. I don't. Oh, jeez. Why are you? Just a second. Now I gotta.
You gotta find it.
Yes,
now I have to find it.
The question it is. He says Mashiach is going to have a fierce countenance. Okay, I'll read it.
Oh, just a second. Now I have to find it. Now I have to find it.
Okay, well, let us know when you find it. If not, and we'll still be on. So I want you to think that.
Mishael said is Daniel 8:23. Oh, he's asking, is it Daniel 8:23?
Yeah. Hold on, let me go ahead. I think it's Daniel 8:23. Ken, it is. Yes, he shall have like fierce features. Yes.
Okay. So it says, now mind you, let's just go up a little bit. This is the ram which you saw. This is verse 20. Ram which you saw having the two horns, and the kings and the Media and the Persia. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes, and the first king. Now that being broken, wherefore four stood for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nations, but not in its power. And in the latter times, their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding darkness shall stand up. Question, why are we saying this is the Mashiach?
No, I said the anti-Mashiach.
Why are we saying anti-Mashiach?
No, that's
what were you asking? In other words, are you?
Yes, I'm asking.
Okay, so this latter time, it says the kingdom which the transgressors are coming to full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding of darkness shall stand up. It doesn't say that this particular king is the anti-Mashiach.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was asking, like, where do we get this? This is the anti-Mashiach. That's what I was trying to figure out.
Okay, so who is this person?
Oh,
I mean,
when I go to Shemayim, I definitely
no, Moreh. No.
If you want to know.
Because I'm a little confused, because if we jump down to 24, it says, "In his power shall be." I had to whip out the old trusty King James. So his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. He shall destroy fearfully, and shall prosper and thrive. He shall destroy the mighty, and also the holy people.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also verse 25, through his cunning he shall cause deceit and prosper under his rule, and shall also exalt himself in his heart, and he shall destroy many in their prosperity. He shall even rise against the prince of princesses, but he shall be broken without human means. So this tells me that this is not Hamashiach Yahshua, of course. So this makes me believe that this is the anti-Messiah or the beast.
Right. But that's what I'm saying is, what would tell you, for an example, if I say this is a king, and this king is going to be appointed, this is what he's going to be doing. So if I say this is a king, according to what it literally says, if I say it's specifically talking about a king, and you're saying, well, this is telling me it's an anti-Mashiach, the question I would have is the term anti-Mashiach or anti-Messiah means one thing versus a tyrant king as another, to be a part of a beast system. Now, that's what I'm asking. How did you come to the conclusion that this is anti-Mashiach versus a king that the beast could be using, or a king that the dragon is going to be using? How did you say that this means to me this is anti-Mashiach?
It means to me because of verse 25. Verse 25, he shall even rise against the prince of princesses, but he shall be broken without human means. He's gonna be broken, and this is referring to many days in the future. So this is a latter day prophecy, and through his cunning he shall deceive, he shall cause deceit and prosper under his rule.
Right. So for an example, if I say, I'm not saying he is. If I say, for example, Trump is a king, and he can't stand Israelites or Hebrews or Hebrew Israelites or anything that of those things, and they are on the actual terrorist list. Do you believe he's the anti-Mashiach?
No.
Well, why not?
I need more proof. I need evidence. That's just his. That doesn't tell me exactly that he doesn't fit it.
Okay.
That could be anybody.
Okay. So that's my point to you, is no one knows this particular king. So that's what I'm saying, is how did that tell you that this is anti-Mashiach versus someone saying anti-Mashiach is someone that's against Mashiach, not against his people? Or you could say, for example, somebody say, well, even if I don't believe in the Mashiach that you believe in, but I do believe in keeping the Torah and the Tanakh, are they going to get persecuted? And if they are, would they fit the bill of an anti-Mashiach? No. So that's what I'm saying. There's a difference between a king and versus an anti-Mashiach that wants to come in the Mashiach's way, or his name, if you will, his authority, and he wants to come and deceive. I mean, specifically Revelation tell you how he's going to do this. Versus in Daniel, this is a literal king that's going to be doing something that's going to be a tyrant.
Okay. Well, I was getting a little confused because when I was reading and studying, as they were talking about the kings of of Persia, and just like the statue that we were studying, and the kings of Media, of Media or Mede of Persia, and Greece, and things of that nature.
Medallion.
Oh,
Yeah.
Don't get him started. Don't.
Not
Don't
me,
start
Dad.
nothing, won't be nothing.
Oh my goodness. All right. So before we get to William, we got a couple of questions on YouTube.
Okay. Okay. You answer my question. Torah, Moreh, Torah.
All right. So the first question we got here is how much can man impose what we got going on as it relates to the end time prophecy? Meaning, will Yahuah allow man to keep all of this going? So will he allow man to have some type of impact on what's going on?
Okay, so yeah, so a couple of things. One is the prince of this world, or this air, he has authority right now, and in his authority, he's given man certain abilities. The Father's allowing this, but it also talks about how he's going to cut certain things off. He's going to shut things down as well. So remember, everything the Father has is he has a timing and a plan for everything. Just as it says in Acts chapter 1, and it's like, when will you restore, Israel? And he says, not for you to know, right? It's in his Father's hand. Other, the Father has a time. So man is not going to keep going as they feel. Everything is done in a certain plan or certain cycle. And specifically, the Father's wrath and judgment, everything falls on the timeline of Jubilees. It falls on the times of feast days. It falls on the times of Shabbat, his days. So he's allowing certain things, but it will come to, when it comes to these times that he has planned, that's when it will stop.
Okay. Next one would be, well, you kind of already answered this question, but would that upcoming vaccine be one of the marks, or could that be one of the marks?
Okay, so it's a possibility that they could use that, but meaning this, like I believe that if the person's sharing, like, at some point, they could say, hey, in order for you to go inside a grocery store, you got to have a card that says you have taken the vaccine, or something to that effect. That's a possibility. That's why you have some of those out there now growing their own vegetables and fruits and things like that. But this thing's gonna really start in the cities area first before it starts making its way outside the city. But can the vaccine be a possibility? Sure, it can be a possibility. But we'll know when they have an announcement, and that announcement says, in order for you to do this, you got to have this. In order for you to do that, you got to have that. Now you there's a system in place that if you don't follow that system, that they won't allow certain things. Now, that doesn't mean that the Father now has no power. He's given it to the man, and you have to submit to that. No, the Father sealed his people, so we will still have a way. We will still be able to maintain and sustain, because our Father is greater than the beasts and the Elohim or the prince of this world. He's greater than that, so he will always provide and make a way.
All right, two more questions here. One is the seal until the day of redemption by the Ruach the same as the ongoing feeling of the Ruach?
Okay, so meaning, so the seal of the Ruach versus the feeling of the Ruach within the person, if I'm understanding correctly. Okay, if that's the question, it's a little bit different. The seal, having the Father's Ruach in you, obviously that's one thing. But for him to say, hold the four winds until I've sealed them, could mean that, these are the ones the Father has already, before the world was, he's already ordained certain things of that person. Hypothetically, you can have newcomers, new believers, I'm just giving you an example, that may not understand yet, but because they're new and because they believe in the Father wholeheartedly and his word and everything like that, that they're sealed, but they may not have a feeling. They may not understand what that feeling is if they do have one. So I wouldn't be able to put those two together, but is it a possibility that because the Spirit's within you? Absolutely. We, for an example, we can say we feel the Father's Spirit a lot. But we may say, well, sometime when we playing around and joking around, we don't say, hey, oh man, oh, I just feel, oh, thank you, Father. What I'm saying is, it's not an ongoing feeling like that.
Okay. And the last one from YouTube is, would the anti-Messiah use the name of Yahushua to deceive Israel?
I think it'll be more of an authority. I don't think they're going to use specifically that, because for an example, there is a Muslim Messiah that's coming. I'm not sure. I know we talked about this maybe it's been about maybe 13 years ago. So you guys can, go back if you want, check that out. Outside of that, the purpose of we going over a long time ago is because Isa in the Arab world basically says that there's a Messiah and that Isa is going to be the general to their Mashiach. That's in the Islamic faith. Of course, in the Catholic faith, is the Pope is operating as Mashiach / as Yahuah himself, as Elohim, as they have in their writings. So I think it's more going to be more about an authority more than, let's say, specifically the name itself.
Okay. Let's see here. We have William, then Kanisha, and then Joseph, and then Ambiyahu that has a question. So William, you go for it.
Moreh, when it comes to Lamadyahu 2746.
Oh, that's Yahoo. Oh, okay, gotcha.
I said Lamadyahu, I think it's 2746. I've heard that it's translated when he says, my Ly has forsaken me. I've heard that's translated as, this is for the Sabbath keepers. So is that correct? I've heard someone break that down before.
That's
and
horrible. No, that's not what that means.
I was just making sure. I know I've heard that before, and I wanted to run that by you. So.
Yeah, no.
Torah.
All right, Kanisha.
I wanted to, when I heard about the vaccine, so I just switched up my career and I work in a hospital. And when I first started 5 months ago, they made me take the flu vaccine to work there. And so I just got an email. I know, don't start. Hey, listen, baby steps. I'm sorry, I'm in a restaurant. Sorry, I'm being loud. Okay, anyway, so I got an email the other day that by the end of October, I have to take my next dose. And then like just something, not something, but I believe the Ruach unctioned me to look into what's in there. When I look into the ingredients, I said, oh, there's pork in the vaccine, which I did not know, which we never took it before this. My children don't even take it. We just didn't. I didn't know that pork was in it. But anyway, I had to email my supervisor and let her know because of my beliefs, I cannot partake in that. So she is looking into that now to see if I could even, I don't know, do that. Any suggestions there? Because she did bring up the vaccine if it's a part of receiving that.
Yeah.
So.
What we do here is, so we used to write letters to employers, let them know all the things that are inside of a vaccine. You know, all the negative, all the unclean parts and stuff that's also in that to keep it preserved. Be it the pork, be it monkey stuff and placenta and everything else that's in there to preserve the vaccine. So, and right now there's a law, a federal law that lets you know that you can that you can opt out of it. So, like our children, none of them has taken it since then. We've been doing it for years that way. Now, in the future, I guess like if you say, hey, and she can look it up. I mean, anyone can look it up. They want to look it up, but the federal law concerning if a religious exemption due to things such as the flu shots and some other stuff like that. When this vaccine comes out, I don't know what's in it, but they might say at this particular time, well, even a religious exemption is not going to work. So if that is, then you just say, okay, well, Father, now, just so we're clear, I'm not saying that that this is the mark of the beast. So, however, the stuff that's in it is just not healthy for you at all. It's very foreign material that goes into your body that they want. And some people even saw some stuff where they're adding like little micro things in there to monitor where you are and some other stuff like that. But outside of that, I'll just simply tell them, hey, no, I don't want it. It's against my belief. It's a religious exemption. It's a federal law. Here it is. Thank you for your time. If you need me to, like one lady that does work in hospital, they for about a month, or no, she said about 2 months, they had her wearing a mask because they said, well, yes, we do see the religious exemption, but you're still working with these patients. So they made her wear a mask. She said, well, I'll just wear the mask. And so that's what she did. So that's my suggestion would be is if she says, okay, no problem. If not, like we do, we wrote a letter and gave it to them and itemized the stuff that's in it and then gave them the scriptures as to why we don't do these things. And then we gave them the law that refers to, not taking those things that's against our belief.
Yeah.
Kanisha,
Yes.
this is Sarakia, Kanisha. I work at a hospital. As far as I know, all the hospitals I worked at, flu shot is not mandatory. Even I found out even those hepatitis shots, you can opt out. So really
Okay.
check on that, because they have forms, declination forms that you can sign and say that you do not want to take the flu shot. And you really don't have to give them a real reason. It has
Okay.
religious and all this stuff on there, but just say that you decline. So ask her for that form, because she shouldn't be making you take a flu shot. I think flu season, quote unquote, is over in November. I'm not sure, but
Well, I
she
mean, we haven't
shouldn't.
taken it this far. Our family hasn't, not because of, we just didn't know it was in it. But now, like I said, I believe Yahuah allowed me that question to come up in me to research it. And I was like, wow, we haven't been taking it, but okay. I had to take it when I first started. And so I'm appreciative that that was unctioned in me. So yeah, I will. Because she was like, I think you can wear a mask, but I'm not sure. And so she said she'll get back to me on Monday, but I will do that. Thank you. Hoda.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I've been wearing a mask. I've never taken a flu shot, but I've worn a mask ever since I started in healthcare because I didn't want to take the flu shot. So I think you do have that option. So that'll be good for you. Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right. Joseph has a question. He said, is the Father's wrath against mankind only because I see he gives these Malachim permission to act out?
Okay, so is he asking, for example, the wrath that he's allowing the watchers or the watcher, but the Malachims to do? It's still on his behalf. Is he talking about that part, or is he talking about something different?
Joseph?
Well, generally in a whole, I see that Abba is in complete control of everything. Mm-hmm. So just like in the Job situation where he had Hasatan there, act out against Job, he allowed him to do that, just to, test Job and his peers around him, family members, so forth and so on. Just like these riders are being sent out and getting permission to do this, and other Malachim have permission to hurt the earth and the sea, and so they're acting on his behalf. I'm saying, so the wrath of Yahuah in totality, is it against mankind on how they react to these Malachim having permission to do what they do, or is his wrath going to also be against mankind and the Malachim?
Okay, so yeah, the wrath is going to be against mankind that are not sealed first. So remember, he told him first, hold the four winds, seal his people, and those that have not been sealed are those that do idolatrous, iniquity, transgressions, and so he's doing it against them. As far as, let's just say, the Malachims or fallen Malachims, that's a later time.
Gotcha.
Okay, and Abiyahu asks, if there will be those who have taken the mark of the beast, thus allowing them to buy and sell, which you see in Revelation 13:17, then how is it that the merchants of the earth are mourning because no one is buying their goods in Revelation 18:11-14? Is this a time after the time when the mark of the beast was taken and that time comes to an end?
Okay, you talking about current merchants? I'm not following. If it is, mind you, even current merchants are now getting bailouts, but with their bailouts, it comes with some new laws for them. So a lot of the smaller mom and pop stores, if you will, they're trying to shut them down. The big giants, they're trying to keep, and the big giants, even though their stuff is going down, they're also getting bailouts, and these bailouts come with these new conditions so that they can keep going. But these new conditions attaches the government to their business. So for an example, Raytheon, they basically was going to take a bailout, but the bailout money that they were going to get was something $1 trillion. But the reason why they opt out of it was because the government said, I want, I think it's like 2 or 3% of that business. And so because of that, they said, no, we're good to go. So in other words, these things have some adhesions to it that some governments don't want. But if I have a grocery store or a convenience store or something that's buying, selling, and I need the bailout, so to speak, or the money, and I go to them, then rest assured it's going to come with these new conditions. And I believe that those conditions is what's going to usher in them having full control of their system, just like the banking system. You know, when they did the Great Depression in 1933. I don't know if everyone knows the history of how all this stuff happened, but the point is that once the government takes control of something, you know, here comes the new laws for it. So if that's what he's saying, I'm saying that, yeah, you know, right now, it's just we're really weeding out the smaller stuff, and the bigger stuff, we will have to go to them like Walmart and, you know, for example, you know, they got a huge bailout. Then they say, you know, what's this? Kmart and Sears is now is going to be is attached to the FEMA camps, and it's just getting worse. So,
I mean, it seems like it's just a means of control. So he's saying, I mean, so basically he's saying, just like in Revelation 18:11-14, when it's saying that all this stuff will be gone, he's asking, is this after the actual mark of the beast? So when you have that control and they take away everything, so is Revelations 18:11 referring to after that time that the mark of the beast has already come into effect? Is what he's asking.
No, they got to set the system up first. They can't just do anything until the system is literally set up. And then once it's set up, then they'll start that process.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got to set that control up first.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Sarakia?
Yes, Toda. Moreh, you and the other Morehs are preparing us and teaching us, you know, guarding our gates and just preparing to be righteous, and you know, how the Torah is simple and how we need to follow that. Where do we fit into these 4 horsemen? By the 4th one, it looks like there won't be too many people left. I mean, that's what it looks like. But where do the righteous fit into all of this?
They're the ones that's sealed. They're the ones that hold the 4 winds, sealed his people. So that's what I was saying. On both ends of this, it's going to be, he's allowing the riders to do those things that is in this world, the killing and everything like that. He's not, but his people, he's saying, for example, there's other place we read earlier, I think it's in Revelation chapter 3, where they'll be spared from the trials. Then you have, I think it's chapter 3, Revelation chapter 3, verse 10, somewhere around there. And then you also have where he talks about before this stuff happened, you know, hold the 4 winds to have sealed all of them, you know, let nothing come to them. So for the righteous, there's nothing that they need to worry about.
Okay, chronologically, you know, I'm kind of challenged chronologically. So while we're sealed and all this is happening, will we be in the wilderness? Or is that before this all happens?
Okay, so, you know, will we be in the wilderness? That's when if you remember the part where when the dragon is cast down to the earth, then he wants to make war with the woman, and then she's taken to the wilderness. The other part of it is the part in Hosea chapter 3, I think it's verse 15 and 16, Isaiah chapter 65, verse 9. All these places are safe havens that he's already made for his people. So if you're saying, hey, I read those places, I know this, but I need to know the timeline of it. That's the part the Father's not giving no one a timeline for that. It's just when that time is ready, we got to be ready to go.
Okay, Toda Moreh.
So someone's asking, how do we prepare our children for this?
Oh, yeah, well, when you say children, you're talking about those that are under the house. It'd be the same way the adults are. They're just going to follow their parents. If you're talking about those that are older, the best you can do is share with them what's happening, and preferably they're willing to, follow their parents into where this is going. But little ones, remember he says they're going to have those. I think it's in Isaiah 66, where it talks about how the other nations are even going to bring them home. So it's not like this is total all destruction and all you see just all nothing but slaughters and chaos and it's not that. It's not a fear factor for his people. He's going to make ways. He said the nation's going to bring you home. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. The lame, the poor, the children, all of them are going to be taken care of. So he has a plan for every last one of them. I think our fear is because we don't know it, so to speak, that it just and we're reading about it. It just becomes a time of doom and gloom and woe is his people. We got to say no.
All right. All right. That was it. That's all the questions I had.
I just want to go back to clarify one of the questions. When they was asking about the feelings, it wasn't about feelings. It was saying that once a person receives the immersion of the initial immersion of the Ruach Hakodesh, and then it talks about in the Book of Acts how that there was another feeling of the Ruach. Like every time there was something significant that happened, it seemed as though they were being renewed in the Ruach.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So there was actually a difference between those. Because there's a difference of the seal and then the continuing infillings and so on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't really give you that when this seal comes that you're going to feel this seal, so to speak, or that, you're going to know you just been sealed. Our job is really just to endure to the end and just to keep what he has. And these messengers are the one doing the sealing, by way of, the spirit. So that's how that's going to work. It's not like, oh, I'm sealed. Oh, I made it. Oh, there it is. I'm number 400, 144,000, 144,000. No, it's not going to be like nothing like that.
All right. All right. If all lines are clear, we can close. Agvit, you gonna close us out?
Can I ask for prayer before you start off there?
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Artoda. Just continue to pray for my household, that we become one. My Ish and I become one in the walk. Thank you, Toda.
Okay.
Shalom.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I do have a question, and I was wondering, the seals that we was going over. How can we tell, or is there a sign we could tell that they have been open, or once all of them are open, do they continue until the Mashiach comes out, or is it just a matter of time? The reason I ask that is because if you go into history, with all the things that's been going on, that even those seals had even said they was doing, seemed like it's already been going through. You got the medieval times when these things was happening. You got World War I, World War II, Vietnam, all these other things. And now we are having where, like you said, nations upon nation, which the real word is brother on brother, killing each other.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, the cycles, I guess I would say, it's just like feast day cycles. We do it every year, nothing new under the sun. So will we find remnants of these things happening in those centuries? Sure. The difference is, that's why I was sharing earlier with birth pains. Notice that, now I'm not no woman. I couldn't tell you anything about how a woman's, but I can tell you what I see. And basically what happens is they get birth pains and it feels the same sometimes, but as the baby starts dropping down and turning and it starts getting worse, same pain, just worse. And it'll just keep getting stronger and stronger until ultimately, obviously, the baby comes out. No difference than some of these things that you see, like with the four horsemen. There's these things, parts of some of these things we can probably find in centuries happening, but it's getting worse and worse and worse. And so these here is going to be really focusing on specifically these latter ones is going to be dealing with even his set apart people. So I don't know any place that really talks about, let's just say World War II did if that had anything to do with, let's say, his people more than it had to do with conquering and war and things like that. But these ones that we're reading now are all kind of centered around releasing of his people, towards the end.
But the other question was, once they come out, will they continue?
Right. So as each one, like, so for an example, I said the white horse, and then when the red horse comes, the white horse continues, then the red horse continues. So it'd be the white and the red, white, red, and the black, white, red, black, and the green. It will continue up until the time of redemption.
Toda.
Okay. Our hearts and minds are clear. Agvik, just like Kanisha, the Akik Joseph is asking for prayer for he and his wife as well to be one.
Shalom, shalom. May we prepare our hearts and minds to give thanks and pray. Baruch atah Yahuah Melech Olam, Tadar Rabau Most High Yah. You are the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Akkad in all your ways. We are grateful to you. We are thankful for your perfected will, your word, your understanding. We are grateful for your servants who are diligent in pursuing the understanding and matters in which are to come to pass. We thank you for direction and affirmation that through it all, you will cover and keep your people. We do not have to fret, for Yah, are your arms too short? They are not. You've allotted us time to pursue and grow, to become Talmudim in your instruction and understanding. Abi Yahuah, we humbly ask that while we travail, to touch on the minds and hearts of those whom we share this understanding with. For there's a desire to be a God, but Yah, ultimately, you know their hearts. And so with our awareness of what's to come, we just hope and pray that they will understand and receive the shalom, receive the covering. We thank you. And as we prepare to take part in your Moedim, Yom Teruah, we are reminded of the blast, of the occurrence of what's to come, and to ready and prepare ourselves. And we give you thanks. We humbly ask also for healing among our people, to remove the infirmities, the illnesses, the stumbling blocks. We ask with belief in the Hamashiach Yahusha. Hallel to Yahuah. Selah, Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.